¿Todo bien, Medellín? Bueno, hoy día les voy a presentar, acerca del pasado, presente y futuro.
You about what EVMOS is, the past, the present, and the future. Excuse me just a sec. There's something going on with the mic.
Ahora sí.
Now we're good. The other mic was not working very well. My name is Federico. Today I'm going to speak about the past, present, and future of EVMOS. Here I'm going to start with a timeline about our project EVMOS. First, Ethermint. Those that don't know this is the precursor of EVMOS. It's the virtual Ethereum and the consensus mechanism of 2016. Based on this, our EVMOS team, we created a proposal in the beginning of 2021. So we relived this project because it used to be like a dead project, and we made it live again. So we changed the brand. We changed from Ethermint to EVMOS, creating a new vision based on an ecosystem of apps that were decentralized, interoperable through an EVM chain. We wanted to create decentralized apps with an alignment in the long term among developers, validators, and users at the same time, and this was going to be long term. Continuing with the timeline, we created a network of tests that were incentivized. Then we had the token model. We decided what were going to be the incentives for users, developers, and validators. Then we did our launch in 2022 with our rec drop. This was the name we gave it to the ecosystem, but things did not work that well, so we launched it again in May this year. So where are we now? After hard work and trying to perfection Ethereum, where are we now and where are we going? What's the vision in the long term? Our EVM of EVMOS, we have a high-performance EVM created of module of UX, and it has the same experience as Ethereum. And we created a user experience that used decentralized apps. The blocks, we have it in less than 2 seconds. This promotes a more user-friendly and more users that are included in this. And we have customers that are using EVM platform and Cosmos, and they are integrating them both. That way we can have the best user experience for Cosmos and Ethereum. Two specific examples are Scan. It's a browser that we can see IBC and EVM transactions and smart contracts that we have in IBM. This is the first explorer or browser that we can see the consensus of the smart contracts. On the right hand, we can see the meta transactions that we can have with Cosmos, but using digital wallet, EVM, or MetaMask, or any other digital wallet that can be connected through Wallet Connect. Also, today we had an upgrade that allows us to create income for app developers that are decentralized. For the first time, these developers can have 50% of the transaction commission that are issued if a user interacts. So this changes the paradigm that we have of how these developers and these projects obtain income since the first day. So the more users they have, so as developers on EVMOS, the greater the income for you. And in the long term, you're going to have a better project of decentralization. This, we do it through the division of the commission between validators and developers. Nowadays, it's 50-50, but this can be also configured through governance. We also launched our first dApp store. It's a decentralized market where these apps coexist, and the users can have access to different apps according to their preferences. And they can generate recommendation systems through the transactions, or they can create specialized contents to recommend the apps according to the different uses. Now, what? So we have the virtual machine on Cosmos. We achieved what any other project couldn't have achieved in the last years. I have been in several projects. First, I was with Tendermint, ChainSafe, and then with Arces, that's the EVMOS company. Right now, we're in the next frontier. We created an EVM of high performance. How can we scale in a meaningful way the decentralized apps that can use EVC? So first, one of the most important things is the liquidity of apps. TVL, total value, is one of the main metrics that measures the health of an ecosystem where we have decentralized apps. Today, the users, when they have access to the EVMOS token, they have three options. The first one is to have a deposit in staking to supply liquidity in the liquidity pools, or use it in EVM. And based on these alternatives, they prefer to use these tokens in the option that will supply a higher interest on the tokens that they have. So this generates, at the same time, the number of tokens that you have and the liquidity in osmosis. Here you can see in the graph can be higher than the total value lock that we have in EVMOS chain. So what can we do to improve the user experience so that this doesn't impact negatively the quality of the user? So that's why we are going to implement liquid staking. We believe this is the best option for the users because there's only one logical alternative or option, and that is to have those tokens in staking, then have the liquid EVMOS token, and then use it to supply liquidity to Osmosis or other apps of Osmosis or in decentralized apps. This will give two basic things. One, liquidity for the apps, and second, security, because it will allow us to position us as the main hub of IBM in Cosmos. For the main questions that you've asked me separately, with the alternatives that we have today, like Stripe or Silver, this is implemented natively in EVMOS. This will allow you to have less latency and generate an app ecosystem that are specifically focused to provide services of staking. Create indexes, DAOs that use staking, or apps of DeFi that instead of having the tokens in staking, the app itself can provide those tokens and generate interest for the users. Income for the apps, and they are going to be distributed to the users. A specific case is over the lakes. Today, they're using a smart contracts on IBM to redirect the rewards that the validator has to the different users that the NFTs have existing in EVMOS today. So the main thing here is that through this solution, we can create a rich ecosystem of staking and generate a new generation of apps dedicated exclusively to staking. But the main problem of scalability that we have today is that EVMOS can use IBC. So the chain is linked to Osmosis, Osmosis Hub, Juno, and others in the ecosystem. But the main problem is that the decentralized apps cannot use IBC because it's implemented in a different module. So how can we scale a great number of apps that can use this solution of interoperability and have access? So the main technologies that we're using today are pre-compiled contracts and the IBC middleware. For those that do not know about the pre-compiled contracts, it's a specific terms of IBM. These are implemented natively and that are compilated before starting the chain, and they have a pre-established direction. Here, the address 001 is specifically focused in IC recover to have a public address through a message. So these fusions allow you to generate new contents, new solutions that are specifically implemented natively, for example, Go. In Ethereum, nowadays, by default, they're used for cryptographic functions. The main difference is that these pre-compiled contracts are going to be able to change the state. So that means that they are stateless. They can use staking, IBC, slushing, lending apps without having collateral, and many other functions that I could say. So it works like this. Here we have EVMOS and the world of EVM that we developed. And on top of that, we have different contracts, smart contracts. And several of them are pre-compiled. For example, the cryptographic functions that I mentioned. But nowadays, we can also have a smart contract that speak IBC. So the apps are totally connected with the Cosmos ecosystem or end interchain. The other solution that I mentioned previously are the intermediate layers of IBC middleware. So in the IBC app is built upon the core NIBC ecosystem, so we can have middle layers that we can modify the content of the message and redirect it to IDM. So an app that can send a token of Cosmos Hub, Juno, directly to IBM, we can redirect it like RC20. One of the main things that we want to do additionally is to consolidate EVMOS as the EVM hub. This is going to promote more movement of tokens and transaction volume among the different chains. in the chains that use different solutions of interoperability, like IBC. This can give access to Cosmos, to these bridges, and have access to the dApps through bridges of IBC, like the pre-compiled contracts and IBC middleware. This is going to increase liquidity for the apps and an improvement in the user usability UX. So let's see how you do a transference of IBC and use the Atom token, for example, here in IBM. Here, we do a transference from the hub to EVMOS, where the balance is kept in the bank module. Then the user has to do a conversion to change that token to an RC20 of IBM. Through the IBC middleware that we are implemented, we reduced the need of doing a manual conversion. So every time the user sends a token to EVMOS, it's going to be represented as an RCV20. So you can use all the tokens that exist in the internet directly in EVM without doing an extra step. So from Ethereum to EVMOS, generally we use different bridges. For example, connected directly like Celermoon, Multichain, and Nomad in the past, where you can do that transfer to IBM of Cosmos and directly manually to the token of RBC. Then through this pre-compiled contract, we reduce the conversion so the user can have easier access to the interchain ecosystem as using EVMOS as a router and redirect all these transactions through Ethereum ecosystem, EVMOS ecosystem, to the outside. That's what I wanted to mention. For example, the bridge of EVM pre-compiled contract to Ethereum, that you can do the redirection automatically without executing another message through this pre-compiled IBM contract. Something else that I wanted to mention, here you can see the representation, the different staff of IBC with the different standards that we have today. And like you can see, it's the chains, not the apps, the ones that are connecting one with another chain. So what we want is to scale the apps so that they are connected in EVMOS through IBC. So how can we do that? It is through exposing exclusively a precompiled contract that sends data packages through other chains. This is going to allow that each one of the decentralized apps at the same time they become apps of IBC, not only implementing it as a module in Cosmos, so the decentralized apps are compatible with IBC. So we can change this. It's a decentralized app store, what you see here, to this. It's decentralized apps that are totally compatible with the IBC system without having the need that EVMO changes something in the protocol. They're going to have direct access to Cosmos Hub, Juno, Osmosis, and all the other chains that exist nowadays in the ecosystem of Cosmos. And this is going to make us the main hub, the main supplier of infrastructure, of Cosmos infrastructure, of Cosmos ecosystem. Thank you so much. Now I'm